Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's podcast where I hope I'm finding you living the Zen life. If you're not living the Zen life, then it is my intention that in today's episode I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. I have not done a Zen deck in a while. This is, it's a deck of cards. There's a word on the front, a Zen type word with a little write up on the back. And so what I do is I randomly choose one and then I just talk about it. And I just kind of try to inspire you a little bit on whichever the card is. So it's a really cool deck. I actually got these as a gift, but I've seen them on Amazon. And it's just called ZEN cards. And the guy's name is Daniel Levin. If you'd like to get yourself one, they're very, very nice cards, really cool. I really like them. Just kind of things to help you ponder and to deepen your introspection. So here I am shuffling, and today's card is, my favorite. Well, maybe not my favorite. Probably used to be my favorite. Problem solving. All right, and here's the back. The back says, "The way to remove darkness from a room is simply to turn on the light. In the same way, to rid yourself of any difficulty, concentrate on the solution rather than the problem." So I remember telling myself, and I remember telling my oldest son, Bob, you need a couple of things in your life. You need a direction. You need to get good at leading yourself and creating the path for yourself, no matter what it is you want to do. And you need to get really good at solving problems. And I became really good at solving problems a long, long time ago. And it was kind of this thing that I pride, or if you say that's like I took pride in it myself, that I could solve a problem. So anything, whether a relationship problem or something I just didn't know how to do, or something that was a difficulty, I wasn't sure what was going on, I was having a hard time with something, and I would educate myself on it. So problems in my relationships, you've heard that story. I went to the bookstore and I looked in the self-help section, the far corners of the universe, and looked for a book about how to improve your relationships. So I educated myself on that to a point of not only moving towards having a wonderful, beautiful, supportive relationship, but also to the point where I could teach others how to move in that same space and acquire wonderful, beautiful, harmonious relationships for themselves. And I used to teach it. Well, then I started working at a daycare, and I worked with kids, and I wanted to figure out how to deepen my relationship with kids. And so I was looking up like teacher books and educating kids and psychology of kids. But then I broadened it and went to parenting, because the kids that we were working with, their parents were having some major struggles with them. And we took it upon ourselves basically to educate the parents. And so we learned all about parenting and how to work with kids and where kids are and how to present information to them. And it was a beautiful thing. And it has helped me currently in my relationship with not only my son that I adopted when he was a teenager, but also my partner's two kids who are also boys, one of them who has autism, that learning these ways to solve this problem. I can't get him to help me with chores. Okay, well, I'm going to learn some tactics, and they worked. I can't get him to talk to me. I'm going to learn how to get your teenager to open up to you. And it was all encompassing. The problem with this, all pun intended, is I was focusing on problems. And I took a lot of pride in saying that I was like such a great problem solver. It's great, but don't focus there, because if you focus on the problem, you're going to get more problems. And I did for a while. That was like all I was doing was YouTubing and Googling all kinds of things. And I was taking courses and looking at blogs and articles, and in the middle of the night, we're having an issue with one of the boys, and I'm, all night long, I can't sleep. And so I'm Googling things and reading articles and watching videos and learning new ways to handle problems. Anyway, This is a really good way to turn things around. So do you have to be able to solve problems? Yes, of course. As a parent, as a woman, as an entrepreneur, there's problems every time you turn around. There's a question, there's something happens. I own a home. My partner and I do the best we can to take care of our home, but sometimes we have to order things out. We have to have someone else come in and fix the furnace or whatever. But I learned how to shingle the roof. I learned how to fix the washing machine. I learned how to fix broken windows. I learned how to, the list goes on and on, right? If you own a home, you know this, right? But this perspective is quite different because like this place that I'm working right now, cleaning cabins at this resort, I really enjoy because I love being outdoors and I love the detail of cleaning and the routine of cleaning. I love the physicalness of it. And it's a really good break for me from being behind my computer. But there's some major problems going on. And I did talk about it in the last couple of episodes. And it's getting so bad that I can't stay there any longer. And so it's becoming a problem. And what I did was try to figure out a solution to this problem. I focused on the solution and talked with this person that I believe she is very disrespectful towards me and towards the rest of the team and towards the owners. She's extremely negative. She's completely big time complainer. That's all she does. We used to work together and we used to have lots of fun and laugh and joke and tell our stories and talk about our families and crazy things that are going on and crazy things that happen in the cabins and with guests and stuff like that. And it's gone. The fun is completely gone. And we have moved to the space of, it's very difficult to be around each other. And it's very negative. And she does not want any solutions. She doesn't want any help with anything. She doesn't want to see things differently. She doesn't want any of that. She just wants to complain. Well, in that quote, problem solving, I understand from my perspective and being a coach and working in this kind of life coaching type space, this personal development space for almost 30 years now, I see what she's trying to do. She's not aware of it, but subconsciously she's trying to move the energy of the complaint by complaining about the thing that is irksome to her. But she doesn't she's holding on to the energy of it. So the next day it just repeats and repeats and repeats. And she's within the complaint, you're trying to move the energy to get rid of it. You're trying to get rid of the feeling of whatever it is that's bothering you. So energetically, and from my perspective, I can understand it. She's just not willing to release it. So it just makes it difficult for me to be around it constantly. And I'm a big time complainer. And it's really interesting. Anyway, so what I started doing was, I remember telling her and one of the other gals that works there that, I'm a person of integrity and I like to take action to try to create a reaction instead of just talking or just complaining. And so we had many, many, many team meetings and lots of conversation and lots of talk and lots of, okay, we're going to put this in place and we're going to implement this new thing and this, and then, within a week, none of that is being implemented and carried through or followed through on. And there are not appropriate leaders in what should be leadership roles. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, this isn't really working for me. And this is not an environment because I do believe that this woman is being dishonest. I believe she's being disloyal. She's completely disrespectful to me and others. And she talks to me, she talks down to me. And then, so I want to focus on the solution. So when I go and I have this meeting with the boss and I say, here's some of the things, here's some of the problems, here's some of the complaints, one of the bosses made all these excuses for her. And I found it to be very devaluing, like what I was bringing to the table, what I was trying to shine a light on for them, they were making an excuse for. So indirectly, they're saying they're okay with that. They're okay with her dishonesty and this problem that is in front of them. And I was trying to come at this angle of let's solve it. Let's solve the problem. And the way that they're going about solving it is not going to solve the issue. And so I chose today to give them my 2-week notice. And I'm sad about it because I really like the outdoors and I really like the cabins and the work itself. So I'm sad about it, but I had to take a stand. So that was me solving the problem instead of continuously focusing on it or complaining about it and bringing it home and talking to Amy with it, talking about it here on the podcast. I realized that I was focusing on the problem. And so I stood back and I said, here's what I'm going to do to solve it. I'm going to bring it to their attention, see what they do, see what decision they make. They didn't make a decision that I feel like is actually going to affect the problem at all. I feel like the problem is going to continue. And if it continues, then I no longer want to be there. And so then that was the action that I took. So what problem are you focused on right now? What are you spending your time where you're just going on about it, whether it's relationship or maybe your children or your job or your finances? And then ask yourself, if I was going to focus on the solution or what would solve this problem, is then focus there. If I was going to, what is our actual problem? What is the actual problem with the kids? Or what's the actual problem with your spouse? Or what's the actual problem with your job? And then don't spend very much time there. Just state it. Try to state it in like one sentence. The problem I have right now is blank. And then that's it. The rest are solutions. Focus there. The biggest problem I have right now is I don't make enough money. Okay, so now go, here's a solution. I could get another job and just brain dump, just brainstorm a bunch of ideas. I could sell some stuff. I could get another job. I could invest some money. I could borrow money. I could learn maybe money management skills. Maybe I go get a book or I take an online course or I watch some YouTube videos and I try to find inexpensive ways to manage my money. And solve the problem, because it does two things. We've all gotten in the spiral of complaining, right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't feel very good. It doesn't feel like you're actually solving the problem. You're spiraling. It doesn't feel good. Maybe makes you more irritated, agitated, or annoyed, or angry. And when we move over to the other side and we start trying to solve the problem, and we start getting some ideas and start getting some momentum going about different solutions, even if they're crazy solutions, you start to feel differently, don't you? You start to feel maybe excited, even if they're crazy ideas. You start to feel excited. You start to feel like maybe empowered. You know, back in 2020, when the pandemic hit, and everybody was getting those stimulus checks, it was actually a benefit to us. You know, it allowed us to sit back, allowed Amy and I to sit back and go, how do we want to manage this? How do we want to make the most of this income? And what we learned was really simple way to manage our money. And we were able to create these categories in our lives and then divvy different percentages to those categories that were important to us. And it was an amazing feeling and it was extremely empowering. And today, 2 years later, we're still using those same categories and we've adjusted the percentages, but we're still using that same system. And it was very, very simple, but now we feel we're empowered. We feel like we are solving what could potentially have been a big issue. And so when you move to that space of solving, you move to that space of coming up with ideas and trying to come up with solutions, think about that. Stand back and before the emotions start to sweep you away down current where you're just getting upset or angry or you're not feeling very good about the topic you're talking about, slow down and talk about it. So before the emotions hit, ask yourself, what is it that is my number one complaint? And then state it. That's it. Don't talk about it. State it. Make one statement. And then spend some time with the rest is being about the solution and coming up with some ideas. Google some ideas. If it's about money, how do I manage my money? If it's about my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my husband, wife, or my kids, how do I get along better with my family? How do I communicate better? Whatever your complaint is, and you will come up with a lot of ideas. So I hope this finds you well. This was a really good Zen deck. This is a really good Zen card. I absolutely love solving problems. I am like, I told my, I don't know if you guys are old enough to know MacGyver, but I told my dad that our last name should have been MacGyver because we just love to and he loves problem solving. It just should come up with, or change our last name to MacGyver. because we totally like fix things in crazy ways to make things work. So what crazy way can you make your life work? And I will ask you this. If you are working on a problem that really has to do with you and nobody else is involved necessarily, and it's you overcoming tough emotions, I want to share with you that in our sister circle calls on Lady Rising in Facebook, is we have a private group and we do these monthly calls, 2, sometimes 3 a month. And we're building this community of women where we support one another, that we are with one another and in our struggles, and then sharing and letting intuition help us to problem solve. So if this is something that you're interested in, go to Facebook, type in Lady Rising, through the membership questions, write that you come in through the podcast. And I hope to see you on one of our sister calls. They're $11. And our girls that are in there now are absolutely amazing and supportive, and they have nothing but good things to say in the results that they've gotten by being a part of this community. I used to think a long time ago, my mom is very religious, and so she's always a part of a church. And every time I would have some issue, she would say, Jennifer, you need to join a church. And I'm like, Mom, my church experience was awful. I don't want to join a church. But because what I didn't have that my mom has is a community. When I went to a church, I didn't have that same result that she had. I was not accepted. It was not a safe space for me to be myself. It was not. I was very judged. I was picked on. I was teased. And so that was not a community that I felt safe in. But when I started teaching my boot camp class, and I had mostly women in this class, I realized that they're getting the success because of the camaraderie that is happening among these women. And that is my mission, is to help women come back together with community, in a supportive community, in a safe space where they can show up and be themselves. If this is something that's missing from your life, please consider our sister calls. They are amazing, they're safe, they're confidential, and they are supportive. I hope to see you on the call.